Welcome back, everybody, to the Joey Osborne Show. I'm your host, Joey Osborne, here today, and we are finally back after a long while here. I know a lot of stuff been going on, of course, with schoolwork, so I've been a little bit away, but we are finally back here. And let's get into it because we got a lot going on as the NHL is back. And I've thankfully I've been able to go to a game, which has been awesome. But yeah, hockey's back, football is in full swing, and the MLB playoffs going strong here. So let's get into it here. And let's first start off today with the hot subject of course, this week. The NL and ALCS have begun, and we are down to 4 teams now competing for the World Series here. In the ALCS, we got the Astros and the Texas Rangers. So a little Lone State action there as both teams from Texas. And it's been I don't know, last time I've seen both of the teams in the ALCS from the same state, but here we are, and it's been very interesting. As of right now, the Rangers have a 2-0 lead over the Astros in that series in both seeming pretty dominant wins. This is quite a surprise to me, honestly, because I thought going into that series, the Astros were the better team, and I trusted more in the Astros. But right now, that series is heading back to Arlington with the Rangers up 2-0, and the Astros now in a good pitch here. So it's going to be very interesting to look what exactly happens there on that front. Definitely Texas played very well. I definitely think they've been insanely well all playoffs, especially they made a good statement against the Orioles whenever they played them in the ALDS. They made a good statement, and they have continued to make a massive statement here against the Houston Astros as well to this point, up 2-0 in the series. My thoughts on the series here at this point here, a lot of great things from Texas. Their pitching has done very well. And honestly, I thought out of the pitching course, I think Houston had the better one. But in this series, it has not been that case, as the Rangers have played definitely a lot better than how the Astros have played to this point. So that is quite a surprise, I think, for a lot of us to see that is happening to this point here. And I just think overall, too, the hitting-wise for the Astros, it's done okay, but the Rangers ones has been better. It's just been more offensive. They've been able to get more runs on the board, and that's how they've won the games. Is the offense for the Astros has not really been fully awake, yet the Texas one has, and it has done very well. As of course we know, in the regular season they did have a very good offense during the regular season. At times did waver a little bit for the Rangers. However, it has really continued in October, and they have been hot. Honestly, they do kind of remind me right now a little bit of the Phillies last year, how they were a very hot team in the playoffs and played very well. And speaking of Philly, let's talk about the NLCS here. It is the Philadelphia Phillies against the Diamondbacks. That series has also finally had 2 games played, with the Phillies up 2-0 on the Diamondbacks. And this has been an interesting series because I didn't expect to see the Diamondbacks in this spot. I thought that the Dodgers would have a good handle over them to this point, so I'm very surprised to see them here. Yeah, here we are, and it's very interesting. So I definitely could have seen Philly making it, honestly, because they have had a really hard second half of the year, and that has completely continued in the playoffs here. Last 2 games against the Diamondbacks, complete annihilation by the Phillies. I think last night the final score was, I know they had 10 runs at one point. Let me check what the final score was. It's one point when I was looking at it last night, it was 10-0 them. I'm like, holy crap. It was the final score for game 2 was 10-0 Phillies, and the game before that, the final score was 5-3 Phillies. So Phillies bats have come out blazing. I know Nick Castellanos has gone off so far, a couple home runs. Bryce Harper's been going off, and of course Kyle Schwarber, one of their best offensive players, proves once again he is one of the best power hitters out there. Also went off and got them good win there as well. So a lot of innocent stuff here. And I think in this series right now, I'm just getting my predictions here for the NLCS. I expect to be Phillies in 4. I just think the Diamondbacks, they're just not on the level of the Phillies. They're not. The Diamondbacks are a very young team. I think they have a lot of promise for the future. But this is a year of just getting used to this new field. Because they got some great prospects coming up, of course, They have Drew Jones coming up at some point here soon. They also have, of course, Corbin Carroll has been up this year, but he was one of the top prospects. Alex Thomas. There's a lot of great prospects for Diamondbacks coming up, and this is just the beginning of it. So I think definitely this is they're gonna learn, they're gonna get used to this whole playoff thing, and then I think next year they'll be a lot better team. But it's good to at least them into the LCS, just more experience. But I think Philly's the way more experienced team. I think they're the significantly better team, and I think Philly is gonna be back to the World Series. Now moving on here to the LCS, I'm gonna give my prediction on that here too. What I think is gonna happen here on the LCS is I think we're gonna see a comeback from the Astros. I don't think the Astros are going to be taking this laying down. I think they're going to come back. I think they're going to work hard, and I think they're going to get their way back in the series. I think they can definitely come back from a 2-0 deficit. I know definitely both games were winnable games for the Astros. They could have won them. I think they can easily get back, and I think they can easily get back in the series. And I'm going to say Astros in 7. I think the Astros down 2-0, Jerry. Why are you saying Astros in 7? Here's what I'm going to say. The Texas Rangers are an interesting franchise if you look at their franchise history come playoff time. They have been known to give up some of the worst collapses in all of MLB baseball history in the playoffs. They have had some massive collapses multiple times, and I felt like this team going into it had some definite issues that I didn't really think they were that good. I kind of thought they were hitting luck. Now, I will give you the fact I think they all play a better team than what I counted them for earlier in the summer, but I still don't think they have what it takes to win a World Series. And I think this team can easily implode at any minute. And I still think the Astros, if they regroup and refocus, it's going to be a powder keg and it's going to explode on the Rangers. There's a lot of questions there on the Rangers. I'm still not convinced that they are really what they are. I think a lot of circumstance is what has gotten them to this point. But I still need to see exactly how good of a team is this Rangers team. And I think the Astros are a good test, but I would not be surprised if this completely explodes on them and they lose the series. I just don't see the Astros taking this laying down. The Astros aren't that kind of a team. They're going to be back in this thing, and I think this is at least going to 7. I know it's 2-0 now, but trust me, the Astros are not one of those teams you can beat easily. And I don't think they're going to be laying down. And I think they come back in this series. And I do think they will win this series. So there's all baseball. Now let's move into a little football here. And let's talk about the Steelers. Yeah, let's talk about them. Because this is what everyone wants to hear about. Because I'm a Steelers fan. And all my viewers are Steelers fans. So everyone wants to hear this. So here's what I'm going to say. The Steelers right now, coaching-wise, are a complete joke of a franchise. Now let me elaborate here. All right? Matt Canada, actually, I'm not going to elaborate on that because if you watch the games, you know what he's doing. And I'm just going to leave it at there. He's way over his head and should have never had this job in the first place. Nice guy. He seems like a very nice guy, but he's just over his head right now. And he's been put in a position where he is failing and was going to fail in the first place. It was a position that he should not have been put in, yet Mike Tomlin thought it was a good idea to do it, instead of going out and getting someone from a different team. And that's where we're going to start here right now with the Steelers coaching-wise. Is Mike Tomlin the right answer now? I think it's right to ask the question. Is he still a good coach? Look at the team this year. Just look at him and tell me if he's really been a good coach. They've got lucky in a lot of games. They've had horrible scheming on both offense and defensive sides. Like, if you didn't have T.J. Watt and Dallas Highsmith, they'd be 0-5 right now. That's where they'd be. They'd be 0-5. They would not have won a game. And I don't think it's all on one players. Like, for instance, the offense. It's not all on pick. Has he not played the best? Of course, he has not played to what we expect him to be. But is that really all his fault? Some of it is, obviously, he's made some mistakes, like every single quarterback does. But when the scheming is as bad as it is, and like the actual defense knows exactly what's going to happen, and the plays are designed only to have one read, which is what they are too. That's the funny thing. Like, all the plays are specifically designed for one person to get the ball. In that offense, there's no idea to read different reads. It's just you throw to the guy who the play's for. You're not going to throw to anyone else. They're just going to scramble around and not even get open. That's what the play calls are. And if the defense literally knows they're going to go to that guy, yeah, no wonder they picked it off. If they literally know exactly what you're going to do because you do the same thing week in and week out. You do not change the game plan. So I think a lot of the offensive woes are more on scheming than they are on talent. I think the Steelers' wide receiver room is very good. I think Deontay Johnson, when he's healthy, is a good wide receiver. Is he the best one in the NFL? No. But is he a great wide receiver? Yeah. He's a good wide receiver who can do a lot of good things for you. George Pickens is a beast. All right, he is very good and does very well. Calvin Austin, let's talk about him for a second. He has an insane amount of speed. And if he can be used correctly, which in sometimes he has already this year, he can be a very deadly wide receiver. And he has been a very exciting wide receiver to this point. The problem is the Steelers, they have not used him correctly to this point. And it's Allen Robinson. I think Allen Robinson has done a good job for the most part. But once again, he's not been used as much as he probably can be and in the right ways. Let's look at Pat Freiermuth. Now, it's been hard the last couple of games, but he's been able to be he's one of the best tight ends in the league. He's barely being used or targeted this whole series. It's ridiculous. Nazi Harris. They're using him completely in the wrong way. He is a power-forced, big mentality running back. They're right now, and they want a fast speed one. They're putting a round peg in a square hole. That is where we're at to this point. And then the offensive line. Let's talk about the offensive line here. In what world is Dan Moore considered to be a good left tackle? Now, do I think he can be a decent to well-serving right tackle? Yeah, I think he can. But he cannot be a blindside tackle. He is not good enough to be that. And let's talk about Chuks Okorafor. Why is he still on the team? He's not good. Let's get out of here now. He is the worst right tackle in all of football. He really is. Dan Moore is probably the worst left tackle in all of football. This is a unit that was supposed to be good this year. Mason Cole completely fell off the map. He is a horrible center. And if you are the Steelers, you need to invest in a center who can do well. And they have passed up on them multiple times. Now, honestly, the picks haven't really backfired on us, so I really can't be that judgmental at them to this point. Obviously, Pat Freiermuth has been very good. And Pickett, even though he's had a lot of issues to this point, more than you can focus on the coaching and the scheming rather than him. And also the offensive line kind of gets killed half the time. So what do you expect when you have no time to throw the football? But this team is a complete joke right now. I don't think it's even the general manager. I think Omar Khan has actually been doing his job correctly. I think he's done a great job. I think this lies in Tomlin and the rest of your coaches here. And this next order here with the coaching. Why is Broderick Jones not starting this week? Why is Dan Moore going to get the start over him again? After Broderick Jones had one of the best performances from a rookie left tackle we've seen in a while, at least according to PFF, it has been one of the best ones we have seen in a long time. Right tackle, like actually, for his debut game, had one of the best performances from a rookie left tackle in a good while. And he was great. Like, honestly, he was stopping nearly everything. I don't even think he gave up a sack. He looked good. So why on earth is he not starting this week against the Rams? There was no reason that he should not be starting. I think it's a complete joke that Dan Moore is starting. What you do right now, if you're Mike Tomlin, the offensive line, move Dan Moore to right tackle, get Chuks out, and let's let Broderick Jones do what we drafted him to do. If we really trade up and waste a first-round pick on the guy, he should be starting, honestly. Like, I understand not starting week 1. It's Nick Bosa. And week 2 is a little like, it's Myles Garrett, too. Like, these are the top 2, one of the top 5 top 5 pass rushers in the league. They're going to be definitely a tough task for rookie tackle. If you're wondering, ask Dwayne Jones when he had to come in and block TJ Watt for his first career game. It's not a fun time. And Dwayne Jones as well probably will turn out to be a pretty good tackle as well. But, like, you don't understand. And Max Crosby, too, it's like, I think he'd be fine. But, like, if it really is, if you're really that worried, then I guess, you can still storm. But by week 4 against the Texans, there was no excuse. Like, Will Anderson is really good, but he's a rookie. You know what I mean? Like, he is a rookie. He's not going to do much to this point. It's because he's a rookie. He's not going to be what he's going to be to this point. Now, is he going to be very good? Yeah, he's going to be very good. But is it really worth benching your first-round pick for a guy who's not even good? No, he's not. And it's a complete joke. So, honestly, when Dan Moore went down, it was good because we could at least see Broderick Jones play. And guess what? Broderick Jones played. Very good. he looked like one of the better tackles in that draft. I honestly thought, looking at him, at first I thought he was the third best tackle. But after keep watching his film and stuff, I realized he might be the best one out of that draft somehow. Now I know that's a little overstated, but like he was, in college he was blocking two guys like this. Then sometimes he was blocking three of them, and like it wasn't even against bad teams. Like the one was against Tennessee. Like that's a good team. That was a good team that year. So that's where my questions lie, honestly. Offensively, let's talk about defensively, not starting rookies with Joey Porter Jr. Does anyone care to explain to me why on earth he is not starting? Because I don't get it. He has literally been one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL when he's on the field to this point. Has not even given up. I think he's got a pass rating to himself of 0 at this point. He's already played 5 games. And he literally had a game-stealing interception. Not game-stealing, like, he stopped the Ravens from stealing the game and gave the Steelers the opportunity and then the chance to actually win when they beat the Ravens last week. He did that. Like, that was all him. Great interception, great play, and great coverage. And he has been doing that the whole entire year. And I don't get why he started. I know they claim tackling complaints, but I don't see it. He can tackle perfectly fine. And cornerbacks, for the most part, barely even tackle. Like, they're not the best tacklers. Like, that's not a position where tackling's the main key in this day and age. In this day and age now, cornerbacks, they focus more on either breaking up the pass or intercepting the football. They're not really, like, there's obviously still tackle, obviously, but, like, they're not, like, that's not their main focus anymore. Their main focus is taking the ball away and getting an interception. That's just the way it is. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, completely to this point here, why is he not playing as much as he should? Like, Patrick Peterson and Levi Wallace have been complete jokes to this point. Pat Peterson looks like a relic of himself. He has not looked anything even like last year. I think his time is finally come. This is his final year, honestly. And it's nice to have Pat Peterson. I like Pat Peterson. I think he's been a great mentor, and I really liked him being in here for a mentor for Trice and Porter Jr. But now is the time to move him out of the QB1, the cornerback 1 spot, and move him into some place he would do better, as well as, of course, was talked about when he came in the first place. And then also, Levi Wallace, he's just not good. I'm sorry to say, but he is just not a good player. He can intercept the football, but he is awful in coverage. And it clearly shows. Like, the performances that the Steelers have given up this year to wide receivers has been a complete joke. And this week against the Rams, not only do they have to deal with Cooper Kupp, who is a very good wide receiver, if you don't, obviously, they also got to deal with this new rookie sensation, Puka Nacua, who I do have in fantasy, so I would like to see him burn the Steelers a little bit so I can get fantasy points, but the Steelers still need to win in my mind. But yeah, it's a tough task, and I just don't think either of these guys can do it. And now they cut Desmond King, because Desmond King apparently is never close to as good, and they signed Darius Rush, a rookie cornerback off the Chiefs practice squad, which actually, that is a guy I am actually pretty high on. So I really do like that move. I think that will help out get more young guys in the cornerbacks room. But now the not signing Cam Sun looks even worse right now. Honestly, Cam Sun should still be here. He should have been signed. And I know the Lions gave him a great deal, but honestly, I think we should have given him a deal, not given Ogunjobi the deal. Ogunjobi, he's been okay, but he's not been playing up to what that contract is. He just has not been. And I think, overall, honestly, a lot of these reasons I'm talking about, especially the rookies not playing, it's been on the coaches. And clearly, it makes you question, are they even trying to win here, or do they just not know what they're doing right now? Because I really starting to doubt that they have adapted to the NFL level to this point here so far. So I'm going to leave it there with the Steelers, because I've been going on for like 10 minutes about the Steelers now. And we don't need to talk more about the Steelers, because I think by the 10-minute mark, that's the point where I've had enough. So, football-wise, other than that, Bears-wise, let's talk about Bears here. Justin Fields looks like he'll be out for this week, so an offense that hasn't been even that good over a couple games this year, it's going to continue to struggle here now without their signal caller there, so definitely fantasy stuff to watch. If you got DJ Moore, Cole Command Fantasy, probably not the week to play him. I know I have both, and I had to pick up Luke Musgrave, and I benched DJ Moore for Jordan Addison today. So, yeah, it's until Fields is back, it's probably not a smart decision to play those guys, and I think the Bears, of course, they're not very good to begin with, and this continues to hurt them a lot more. But I do think Fields, when he comes back, will at least get a little more stability in that offense. But there are a lot of questions now with coaching here and in Fields as well that we still have not fully got answered yet in the third year here. So definitely a lot of things to watch there. And then the Vikings here of Justin Jefferson. He is out 4 games, obviously. He started this week. Jordan Addison is now wide receiver 1. But if you're Minnesota here, I'm going to keep this brief, but what exactly do you do here now? Because Justin Jefferson, honestly, it kind of like he doesn't even want to play for you guys anymore. I think they're 2-4. I think, yeah, I think they're 2-4, and they're probably out of the playoffs here. I don't think they're not getting past the Lions for sure. Honestly, I think the Packers are probably better than them. So now you gotta ask the question here, and this is: are you gonna be selling at the deadline? And I think honestly, if you're the Vikings, completely sell. I think they gotta trade Kirk Cousins. I think they can probably get something from someone for Kirk Cousins. I think you trade him. I obviously think you trade Darnell Hunter because he was just franchise tag, and I don't think he's not going to stay. He wants to leave, and you're not winning. I think you trade Darnell Hunter and you get a big haul out of him. Honestly, you can't trade Justin Jefferson because he's hurt, but if he's not willing to sign, which it kind of honestly, at least the way it's played out to me from what I've seen, it kind of seems like he's willing, but he doesn't really want to. If he doesn't really want to, then that's a good chance that he may not even sign with you guys. So now the questions are asking here. The Vikings have a couple of things they can sell, and I don't think they're making the playoffs this year. I don't think they're a good team, and I think they need to start selling. I think Minnesota's time in the spotlight here is done. I think they need to fully commit here to a full rebuild. Unless if I'm them here, I'm taking right now and I'm getting one of those quarterbacks. I'm getting a guy like Caleb Williams. I'm getting a guy like Quinn Ewers. I'm getting a guy like Michael Penix. That's what I'm doing if I'm Minnesota. Because Kirk Cousins, I think his time in Minnesota needs to be up. He's done a good job, and he really has helped them out a lot. But this team cannot compete anymore, and there's no reason to have Kirk stay and pay him that much if they're not going to be competing for Super Bowl. No reason to. And I think, honestly, you tank at this point. This is a good quarterback draft class. Oh, Drake May, too. I forgot about Drake May there for a second. That's a good quarterback class, and you can get a very good quarterback in this draft class. And I think if you're the Vikings, I say you tank, get yourself a new quarterback, and build from there with him and Addison. If you can keep Justin Jefferson, keep him at all costs, but if he's not going to be willing to come back, trade him away, get a hole like Devontae Adams for him. Like how the Raiders gave up to the Packers. That's what you do in that scenario, and I think if the Vikings blow it up, it is not going to happen. It's time for a new team here and a new core, and I think you need to understand that the Vikings' time here is done. And even T.J. Hawkinson, that's another guy to say, he's young enough that you can probably keep, but if you can get a good enough haul for the guy, trade him. I think that's just what you do. I just don't think Minnesota has what it takes anymore to be able to compete for the playoffs and Super Bowls, and I just think they'd be better off to just start rebuilding now rather than try to pretend, because if they pretend, they're not going to make the playoffs anyway. And if they try to pretend when they get to the offseason, it's just going to screw up things more. So just honest find out if I'm them. Just take it and let's just go. But now let's move in here just finally for the last segment here. Some hockey here. Hockey is back, and the new big face here, Connor Bedard, has finally got to show up here and has played a couple games, and he has looked fantastic so far. I know definitely played very well in his first game against Pittsburgh, having a point. Didn't get a goal, but he did get a point. And then a little play in Montreal, finally did get his first goal and stuff, and he has looked very well. So Chicago Blackhawks have definitely got exactly what they were hoping for in Connor Bedard. But let's talk a little bit about Penguins here, because they have been very interesting at this point. Of course, they did blow the last game against the Blackhawks in the first game of the season. They did blow it in the third period, kind of like last year. But the last 2 games against the Capitals and Flames, and the Flames one I actually got to personally attend, so that was fun. They have looked very good. They can definitely seems a lot better team than last year. The bottom 6 is definitely a lot improved. It's looked very good. I think definitely a lot of the great moves by Dubas have helped out. But I think the big thing that's really helped out here was Eric Carlson, of course, the big trade deadline acquisition that they did get. He has looked fantastic. I know he's only got 1 point so far, but he is just if you watch the game, of course, and I got to watch the one live, you can easily tell he has a massive effect on that team. He has facilitated the passing a lot better. I think honestly, the team's passing has significantly improved over last year. I think they play better off each other, and I think Eric Carlson definitely, especially for the power play, like he has definitely improved the flow of it. I think it definitely has been a lot more effective with them. They can shoot it a lot better. They're getting a lot better chances. The passing's been a lot more accurate, and I think overall, as much as I like Letang and as much as I like him on the power play, Eric Carlson is just probably the best power play quarterback in the NHL right now, and it clearly shows how good he is when he's been doing what he's been doing. But the Penguins have looked very good. Both goaltenders, Justin Joey's looked good so far, looking a lot healthier from last year, so it's good to see him now on that 5-year extension that he signed with the Pens in the offseason here. And Alex Nedeljkovic, too, has looked phenomenal, of course, in that Flames game. Had a lot of shots, Jim. Gave up 2 goals, but it was like 40 shots. And he was stopping a lot, and he looked fantastic in that game. So I think definitely it's a very much improved Pens team. Riley Smith, a big acquisition as well, has looked phenomenal so far. He works really well with Malkin, same with Cal. Like honestly, the top 6 right now, I don't think you can even separate them. Because Wes Crosby and Gensel look spectacular like it did in 2021. Raquel, Malkin, and Riley Smith have looked spectacular. Now, the only thing I would say is the bottom 6 has definitely needs some goal scoring at this point. But I think it's going to come with time. These are all pretty much new guys, new to the team. They're trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work. But definitely, I think Penguins-wise, they have definitely, I think it's still a lot better. They definitely play a lot better than what the last bottom 6 was. And it has a lot more speed. Like the Penguins have finally got back to the speed playing roots, and it has helped phenomenally. And what a surprise when you get guys that actually fit your head coach's play style and coaching style with guys with speed instead of gritty forwards that don't make any sense in the scheme. No wonder you look like a lot better team and you're winning a lot, and you're actually looking like a Stanley Cup contender again. Yeah, no wonder. So that just tells you how bad Hextall has been. And also, just talking about like the whole trades that he made in the offseason last year. Jeff Petrie right now, one of the big offseason acquisitions, has been a healthy scratch for the Red Wings. Multiple games ever since been being traded in the Eric Carlson trade to Montreal and then being traded to Detroit. Now he's a healthy scratch. John Ruda, who went to the Sharks, apparently, I think it was 2 nights ago, had one of the worst games by an NHL defenseman in a very long time. Statistically, he had one of the worst. I think he gave up multiple goals and everything. It just shows you how bad Ruda has been. And then the other guys, they haven't done anything yet, but they're not that good, so really, it's just, like Eric Carlson, clearly, it's been a steal for the Penguins since they got rid of all their bad players and got Eric Carlson out, which is still hilarious to me that was even the haul they gave up. It's pretty hilarious. Like, I really thought they'd be, you have to lose Peterson or someone like Ty Smith or something like that. Nah, they just gave up all the bad players and got Eric Carlson and a first round pick. They have to give up the first round pick and a second round pick. But honestly, they're trying to win right now. They're not trying to rebuild. It's not that big of a deal to lose the picks. And the guy they drafted in this year's draft, because they actually had their pick this year, in Brady Yager, actually looks like he can be very good and can be a core piece for years to come. So he's really exciting, honestly. And then the guy they drafted the year before, Owen Pickering, also looks to be a really exciting player. So they have some really young guys coming up here as well. Like, they are going to have a definite team with young guys for the future as well. Starting to take form. And it's very interesting to see how Kyle Dubas continues to build the team. But definitely, yeah, it has been an interesting one to this point. And yeah, definitely now a lot of other stuff going on in hockey. But the one last thing I do want to talk about here is Winnipeg. The Winnipeg Jets, last night, they played the Los Angeles Kings. And they had one of the lowest attendances in franchise history there. I think it was like insanely small. He could tell like the arena was like nearly empty to that point. And honestly, now Winnipeg, I wonder if that's a question here. With hearing a lot about Atlanta potentially getting an NHL team, and same with Houston, I do wonder here if the Winnipeg Jets could be on the move at some point. Like, I know Winnipeg really wanted the hockey team, but it's just not a big enough market for a hockey team in my mind, I don't think. So I really do wonder if we'll see them move to a new city. I think potentially the Winnipeg Jets, they're having attendance issues. I definitely think there's a good chance they could easily be moving to, say, Atlanta. I think that's a fair bet. But I also think Houston is in the question. As Houston now, of course, the Toyota Center, the home of the Houston Rockets, their NBA team. Of course, now going through massive renovations that include being able to support hockey as well as a sport. So clearly, Houston is eyeing up an NHL team right now. And Atlanta, too, now, of course, proving a new arena and entertainment district outside the city, kind of like with the Braves and the Battery, with some tourist field. They moved out the suburbans. A very similar thing. Got approved with taxpayer money, and I think construction will actually be starting soon on it, with the hopes of getting an NHL team. So now you're starting to see here the Winnipeg. Definitely, there could be an option of them moving, and even the Coyotes now too. I think both teams could see moves as well, and there's other teams, cities too. I know definitely Montreal. I mean, Quebec City is definitely a place looking for one. Small ball Canadian city is looking for a team. And I really think that you'll Winnipeg, if this is as long as this just starts, maybe it's just gonna be a small little thing and it'll go back to normal. But if this can be some prolonged, it continues to happen. I think if you're the NHL, you have to really consider relocating this team someplace else because you don't want to know a repeat of what happened with the Arizona Coyotes because they're on a complete embarrassment right now, and now even they'll maybe moving. But of course, no, Batman not gonna happen because Batman loves Arizona. But definitely, it's an interesting thing to see, and it'll be interesting to see how it does play out because it can go very interestingly, and it could be a very interesting one very quickly. So a lot to pay attention on there. But that really will do it here for this episode. If you guys enjoyed this video and you're watching on YouTube, please comment, like, and subscribe. If you guys are listening in on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and Google Podcasts, thank you guys for listening in and continuing to listen in. I know we just passed up the 1 year anniversary here of the Joey Osborne Show here, so thank you guys, of course, for listening in. For all people who have been listening in from the beginning here to now. Just thank you guys for listening. I know a lot has been happening recently, but I'm finally gonna be on fall break here, so a lot more stuff's gonna be coming here hopefully soon. Especially once classes start to die down a little bit, expect a lot more coming here. But thank you guys for watching or listening for this whole year, and a lot more is coming here very soon in, I guess, now what I'm going to call Season 2. So this officially ends Season 1 here, and we're going to get into Season 2 of the Joey Osborne Show very soon, and I'm hoping he would have a lot more guests on the show. So a lot less of these ones, it's just me, a lot more of other people coming on as well, talking, and yeah. But yeah, thank you guys for listening, and have a great day.